Hi, for my Christmas card today, I'm going to be using two stamps from Stampin' Up!, Rejoicing With You, and the Medallion background stamp. I'm going to start with the Medallion stamp, and I'm going to ink this in River Rock ink. And I'm going to be stamping it on a piece of cardstock, River Rock cardstock, that's 5 1/4 inches wide by 4 inches high. I'm going to coat all of this in River Rock. And to add just a little bit more to this tone-on-tone look, I'm going to use a little bit of Vintage Photo Distress ink around just the edges of the design. Sponge a little bit on. And I'm going to be stamping this over on the left side of the cardstock, and I want the bottom of the design to be just a little bit above the bottom edge of the paper. Okay. Now the very middle didn't come out really clear. That's fine. I'm going for a distressed look, and I'm going to be covering that with something in just a moment. You'll also see where I've got a little bit of darker edging here where I put the Vintage Photo on. Now what I want to add to the middle of this is this image from Rejoicing With You, the angel image, and that's what's going to go here in the middle of my design. And I want to show you how to do an image that you can stamp in any ink and still give it an embossed look as well. So I'm going to place the little angel where I want it to be, and then put my glass block or my acrylic block over that. And I'm going to be stamping it in Color Block's Fluid Chalk ink. I'm also going to need, for what I'm doing, the Stamp-A-Ma-Jig. You'll see why in just a moment. So I'm going to add some Color Box Fluid Chalk ink. This could be any ink. I just happen to like this particular color, and it coats really well over cardstock. And what I need the Stamp-A-Ma-Jig for is positioning at this point. And it's important that I don't move my paper or my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig after I stamp it. Okay. There's the angel. Now I need to clean this, and then we'll emboss it. Now I was very careful as I cleaned the image that I didn't move it off of the block. I haven't moved my Stamp-A-Ma-Jig or my paper. I'm going to ink the image up in Versamark ink. And then, holding onto the Stamp-A-Ma-Jig so it doesn't move, I'm just going to go right back over the same position that I had before. And I have some clear embossing powder. And I've coated it in clear embossing powder, and now I'm going to heat it. Just heat a little more. And now you can see that I have an embossed image. Even though I started out with just plain Color Box Fluid Chalk ink, I could have worked with the Stampin' Up! Inks. Any ink will work for this technique. I'm stamping the image in the ink, and then using the Stamp-A-Ma-Jig to position, I'm stamping over the top with Versamark. With the same stamp, putting clear embossing powder on it, and you get the embossed look. The difference between this, though, and embossing powder is If you use embossing powder, you're going to get a little bit richer color, a little bit truer color, because the embossing powder has the color in it. So if I had blue embossing powder, I would get a little bit richer, deeper color here than the effect that I have of using ink and then using clear powder over it. But it's still a great way to add a little extra oomph to your images to add that embossed look. So now we can proceed with the rest of the card. Our greeting also from this stamp set will go in the lower left-hand corner, and I'm stamping it in not quite navy ink. And then I want to add some ribbon over here on the right, and to hold my ribbon in place I'm going to use some twine. I'm trying to keep this card fairly flat, so I'm not going to do a lot of bunching up with these particular ribbons. I thought the twine would hold it in place. To attach the twine, I'm using a punch. This is one that's been around a while. I don't know if it's still available, and I cannot remember what it's called. It has the two little holes in it. You could use simply two punches with a regular, like 1/8 inch round punch would be fine to do this same technique. The purpose of this hole is to have a place for my cord to feed through. So I'm going to lay my trim on top, and I'm going to run the cord through this twill, or any type of ribbon that you wanted to use. I chose a twill, and this was just a plain natural twill, and I misted it with some homemade mist out of blues and greens to get the color that I wanted to use. And I went to all this trouble because I'm going to be making a bunch of these cards. So it made more sense to make up my trim or get something else, a color combination here to work, and since I was going to do a lot of them, it was worth the effort to mist them. Alright, once I have both of those, or threaded through both holes, I'm just going to tie a bow. Let's trim these bottom edges. Alright, and then to secure everything in place, I'm just going to use some tape on the back side. A lot of different adhesives that I could use, but a piece of tape often does the trick, especially for cards where you're not worried about the acidity and the long-term effects of something. Hold that in place. And now I'm ready to put all the layers together. I'll use dimensional adhesive to attach this. Actually, what I want to do, sorry, I'm going to change my mind here. I'm going to put this over the top of both layers. So I'm going to glue this layer on next. And then I'm going to let the ribbons go over the top of the entire thing. And then I can use dimensional adhesive to attach this to my card front. So I'll add some dimensionals, put this on, and that will be my card. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to check out my blog for more details. And if you have questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Thank you.